Well, welcome to the Just Jim Radio Show. We're here today to share with you some inspiration, some information, some encouragement, some ideas, some concepts that might, make a difference, open a window, a door, help you see yourself, see your life, live your life differently than you have before. I'm Just Jim, and so I'm here to bring a practical side to inspiration and to have us look into life a little differently than maybe we have before, to find some opportunities to experience the things we really want in our lives more and more. We do that here on the show in interviews, in discussions, in different kinds of ways to convey it. This morning will be a discussion about joy to the world. Well, you've heard that statement before, and we're coming up on Christmas, so here we are looking to share a little bit of holiday spirit in this time of the year. And you'll hear this song. It's very universal, Joy to the World. It relates a specific message, but it's really something that we can look at to be able to draw on as an inspiration to be able to experience ourselves very differently. And not just ourselves, because the term joy to the world, we could actually change it. We could actually say, well, we're not going to change the song. The song's going to be around for a long time, has been. I meant we could say joy in the world. You know, we've been having so much going on in the world in this year that has caused us to have to look at life differently than we have before. And so we have an opportunity to see and be our expression in a different manner if we choose to in the world. And that's kind of the whole point of the conversation today, is not only finding joy, but if you're going to have it, if you're going to be it, if you're going to express it or share it, it would be a good idea to define it. What is joy? Well, joy is something much more than a three-letter word simply stated. It certainly is. One of the definitions on the internet is a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. Seems a little vague to me, a little out there, not saying anything. It's just kind of trying to describe joy in a kind of a plain way. I like the definition that I use of an ecstatic experience of freedom, beauty, and fulfillment, sparked by inner purpose and passion. Wow, that's a mouthful, isn't it? I don't mean to throw too much at you at one time. Ecstatic, freedom, beauty. It sounds like almost too much to take on. And yet, it's really a part of who we are. It's a part of how we are, if we choose that to be. In the Declaration of Independence, it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women, it doesn't say that, but I'm saying it, are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator, whatever you might see that as being, with inherent and inalienable rights. Say that real quick 3 times. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, although I understand the wording that was used and why it's there, I don't necessarily agree with that piece of the puzzle that's talking about the pursuit of happiness. I don't believe that's something that you can pursue. Well, let me clarify that a little bit. I believe that joy is. It's not something that you have to have or possess. Joy is something that comes to us naturally. It's a part of who we are. So something that comes to my mind when it comes to the idea of getting joy or having joy or things in our lives, possessing. There's a country song that my wife and I listen to once in a while by Chris Janson called Buy Me a Boat. And some of the words in the song talk about money and how it refers to how Chris thinks about having a boat. There are lyrics that say, yeah, I know what they say, that money can't buy everything. I keep hearing that money is the root of all evil, and you can't fit a camel through the eye of a needle. And I'm Sure, that's probably true, but it still sounds pretty cool because it could buy me a boat and a truck to pull it. It would be clear, I want to be clear about the fact that, being on a boat in the water and the sunshine, the waves, the wind, fishing, swimming, anchoring on the sandbar is something that my wife and I love so very much. We really do. So having a boat can create an experience of joy, but it's not the boat, and it's not the water, it's not the sunshine, it's not any of those things. They are catalysts that allow for us to access the joy that we are within and bring it into our lives no matter what's going on. Barring extreme circumstances, of course. But, to give you an idea of those who love boating, put somebody in a boat, put them out on the water on a beautiful day that is afraid of water or doesn't like boats or can't swim. And now their experience is completely different. So the idea of if I had or if I could, I would be happy or I would experience joy. There's a relationship, but it isn't a direct one to the things that are going on in life. It's different for each and every one of us. The beauty is that we all get to choose. In Merriam-Webster, it says, the emotion evoked by well-being, success, or good fortune, and this is the part I want to bring to it, or the prospect of possessing our desires. Desires are really, really important and are something that we really need to be able to experience by making choices. So joy is not things, but things are the vehicles that can allow us to be able to access that and to experience it. Some might say, why bother? It's just going to go away. It doesn't last long. Life can bring situations like we've been experiencing all year that show us how difficult life can be or challenging life can be. And so we have to make sure we're taking the opportunity to choose. It's not to have, to hold. The choice is to be joy in our lives, to allow that natural part of who we are. And as I was saying earlier, in that state of freedom and beauty, that ecstatic, completely wide open reflection of who we are, of our purpose, whatever that might be for each of us, and our passion. Really having passion for our desires, for our expression, for our experience, for our interactions, for our relationships. It's a beautiful place to look to find a key that can set us free. It's a beautiful reflection of a light that can help us see more clearly what joy means to us, what life means to us. I frequently am asked, is there anything else I can help you with, by many different people? And I'll frequently remember and I'll say, oh, yes, the meaning of life, please. And of course, you get this look, well, and sometimes people jump right on it and they've got an answer. And then I tell them, well, of course, there's no right answer. Everybody's is different. It just gives you something to think about when you're not doing something. And it makes people start to look. Where do they look? They look in. Why? Because that's where it all begins. We may feel as if, like the Declaration of Independence says, that we need to pursue our happiness. Well, life is kind of a constant flow of things that we do or things that we choose to be. And in those steps that we take or openings that occur as a result, we have the opportunity to experience ourselves differently, but we don't always take it. And so as we're making our way, we could take a simple quote, and I like his music too, from Carlos Santana, believe it or not. If you carry joy in your heart, you can heal any moment. Wow. Think about that for just a minute. What is he trying to say there? It's because when you completely surrender into this state of joy, you're not bound by anything. It doesn't have you, you don't have it, and you're completely open to reflect almost like the purity of your spirit coupled with your love. That's what I mean by ecstatic experience. It's not defined by circumstance or situation. It's defined by our willingness to surrender whatever is between us and it, because it's part of who we are. If we're experiencing absolute and true freedom and beauty, if we're experiencing things like peace or love in our life, and we allow that to be, our joy just comes up like a wellspring from us and fills us. It carries fear from us. It brings us encouragement. It lifts us and inspires us just by its very nature. It has a beautiful high vibration and a powerful, brilliant illumination as our spirit within, this inspiration that guides each and every one of us in a unique way. We're talking about joy and what it is. What about the rest of the story? For those of you who are old enough to know who that is and where that comes from, I'll leave that a mystery. For you guys who are younger, look up on the internet, Google the rest of the story and see what I'm talking about rather than me explain it. It'll give you something to learn about that goes back a bit. I'm dating myself a little bit. But we're talking about the rest of the story when we're saying joy to the world. Because joy is something we can experience, but to the world is a very different thing. Now we're talking about the fact that if we stop for a moment and realize our individual lives are a part of the whole. Well, what does that mean? Well, you've heard the song. I've said it many times. We are the world. And there's no getting out of that. We're in it. We're in it together. Being the world, each of us in our own unique way. And as that sort of note of the symphony of life goes out, we are the symphony of life by each of the notes that we strike together. You might want to say 2020 might have been some pretty radical music that you might experience in a mosh pit instead of a waltz, which maybe we hope that 2021 might be a little bit more of. But, during this time of the season, it's important to hold a place within us, not just for ourselves, because, as Christmas is, well, it's become commercialized, but Christmas is a time of giving. And joy to the world, or joy in the world, is exactly what I'm really talking about here. It starts at home within us. It reflects out into our lives. And then it makes its way as a reflection out into the world in such a way that it creates the world as we know it. What kind of world do you want to know? What kind of world do you want to be a part of? It may feel like in the seclusion and isolation of 2020 that we've lost touch with being a part of the world, that we're in our own space and rooms and homes, and as we're evolving and as we're emerging, obviously we're going to have different levels of connection with each other. But joy isn't something that's created like handing it off one to the other. As we are it ripples out into the world. I'll give you a good example. I use this term with peace all the time. What if all of us right now stopped, didn't change one thing we believe, didn't change how we do anything, and we just decided to stop and be at peace for 1 minute? Everybody, all at one time. What would we have? We'd have world peace. Okay, it sounds simple. It doesn't really change anything, or does it? What if each and every one of us were taking the time every day to think about being in our joy more often? Not only would our individual experiences and our lives be different, but because our lives make the world what it is, it'll make the world different. It'll carry that energy and that vibration and the inspiration in our words, our gestures, our actions.